Haribol. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravachakacharya Asatara Sata Sri Sri Mad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravachakacharya Asatara Sata Sri Sri Mad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravajakacharya Asatara Sata Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Nantikoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki
Jai.
Prem Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinatha Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki
Jai.
Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki
Jai.
Shri Mathura Dham Ki
Jai.
Shri Dwarka Dham Ki
Jai.
Shri Mayapur Dham Ki
Jai.
Shri Navadvip Dham Ki
Jai.
Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki
Jai.
Ganga Mai Ki
Jai.
Yamuna Mai Ki
Jai.
Tulsi Devi Ki
Jai.
Bhakta Devi Ki
Jai.
Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki
Jai.
His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Jagat Guru Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
The Ocean of Mercy Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
His loving Divine Grace Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanande
Hari Hari.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. Namam Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Sai So there was a kind of a delay, right? Yeah, okay. That was the first time I ever tried a kirtan on Zoom. I'm not too technologically all these things, but you'll have to bear with me. Okay, let's see. Now I don't see anyone. Ratna's iPhone now.
Yes, I am here.
Okay, so why can I not see everyone else?
I don't
Bro,
know.
you just have to change your video. I
Okay.
think you're just focusing on one of the
Okay,
participants. You just have to change to another
but
participant.
what, am I on the wrong thing?
We are good. We can see you clearly, Prabhuji. Your voice is clear for
Okay.
us. But just
Okay,
if
so
you like to
some,
see us, you have to just move your screen to such that
Okay.
you can see the other participants.
okay, I can see you all now.
Haribo.
Okay. Haribo. Om Ajnanatamarandasya Yananjana Salakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nivasesa Sunyavadi Paschachati Satane. So, following in the theme of Bhakti Swami, Narayana, can you help me with this? How do I get this one up here? I'm trying to get your picture up here now. I've lost it again. I'm looking at a black screen. I want to see this. Okay, and then. Okay, my granddaughter, Narayani, she's my technical support here system. Thank you, Krishna. So, Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Swami, he would have, instead of his Vyas Puja celebration, he would call it the Prabhupada Remembrance Festival, right? Is that true?
Yes.
Yes. So, and that was in all of his humility, but he also did it in his a sense of pure awareness of who Srila Prabhupada is and who Srila Prabhupada represents, not only to the devotees that I'm reaching today, but to the millions and millions of devotees who celebrate ISKCON and are members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And also, and eventually, this movement is to, and Prabhupada has predicted that it will save the world in its darkest hour. It will go down in history of saving the world in its darkest hour. And of course, things are pretty dark. It's a very dark world out there. Very. When I joined this movement in 1972, there was a Vietnam War, and I thought the world was about to explode at that time, and to some degree it did, but not to the total degree that the potential. We all know what the potential is: World War III using nuclear bombs, right, which would cause a disturbance to every living being on the planet, right? So that didn't happen. It could happen. It could happen. I mean, now everyone's rattling their sabers to go to World War III. So, so Prabhupada said that this ISKCON movement came specifically for the purpose of saving the world in its darkest hour. So Prabhupada was always conscientious of like establishing ISKCON in such a solvent way that it would continue at least for the next 10,000 years. And Bhakti Charu Swami always put Prabhupada, remembrance of Srila Prabhupada. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? Because Prabhupada's teachings were directly, Prabhupada said, I didn't write these books. He said, I didn't. He says, you know, I read these books. He was asking a couple of my godbrothers, Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Bhagwat Das. He was asking them, are you reading my books? Every day, every day. And he was stressing on it. And he goes, well, not as much as we would like to. We go to the class and everything. You must read my books. He says, do you know why you should read my books? He says, because I read my books. And then he said, do you know why I read my books? And they were like, no, Srila Prabhupada, we don't know what. He says, because I did not write these books. These books were written by Krishna. And then he actually said, every day I sit down to do my translating. And then he kind of raised his hand to the window. He said, Krishna comes down into my room and he tells me what to write in these books.
Very good.
So Bhakti Charu Swami was fully aware of that. That's why the memory of his, even though in my own humble opinion, Bhakti Charu Swami is also a pure devotee of Krishna. We know that. But I'll even go out on the limb. I hope no God brothers are listening, but I would say that Bhakti Charu Swami was Prabhupada's best disciple of all. And there are many pure devotees in this movement. Radhanath Swami, Jayapataka Swami. But our best disciple was Bhakti Charu Swami. That was my opinion anyway, after many 45 years of association with Maharaj. That was my conclusion. So so it's very interesting. Maharaj was the most intelligent man or personality, because he was not a man. He was a devotee, pure devotee, Mahabhagavat of Krishna. And he followed Prabhupada in that way and pushed everything he did for the sake of Srila Prabhupada. One thing yesterday, Siddhanta Prabhu, was everyone at the class yesterday? Raise your hand. Yes? No? Yeah, we're in the, okay, very good. So Siddhanta, who's done all the memories, done the memories, not everyone's memory. I haven't seen Batu Gopal's memory. Has he done one?
Yes,
He did. Okay, I have to. Okay, so he was saying that you should watch these memories, because these are little pearls of wisdom, right, coming from the mouth of the gems of Srila Prabhupada, which was his disciples. And he said you should use them at class. And actually, the fact is, I have used them many times at class, and I'm going to use one right now, as a matter of fact. And it was something that my godbrother, Guru Kripa Prabhu, he was giving his memories of Srila Prabhupada. And he said he was talking with Srila Prabhupada. And in the course of talking, Prabhupada asked him, what was your favorite verse in all of Krishna consciousness? Can you imagine Prabhupada asking that? That was the intimacy that Guru Kripa Prabhu had with Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was saying, what is it? And then he told him his verse, and quite frankly, I maybe Savardama Prikyakja Mami Kamsara. My favorite verse is Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Mata Sarvar Pravartate Iti Madhva Bhajanti Mam Buddha Bhava Samanta. So that's my favorite. But Prabhupada's favorite verse was Yasha Devi Parabhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Taisheta Katita Hyarta Prakasante Mahatmana. That's Prabhupada's favorite verse. And that is from the Sweta Swatara Upanishad. And the translation of that is, only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of the Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. So that was Srila Prabhupada's favorite verse. And it is so pregnant with so much realization and revelation when you really break that down. How to preach Krishna conscious, how to become Krishna conscious. You have to have two things. Two things. You have to have the Shraddha of the Supreme Lord, and you have to have the Shraddha of the spiritual master. And you cannot have the Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. It means beyond faith. It means commitment, complete commitment. You must have complete commitment to the Supreme Lord. And the only way you get that commitment is by fully surrendering unto the pure devotee, the spiritual master. Gotta keep my time here. So, and then it says, Brahmandam Brahmite Kona Bhagavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasadvai Bhakti Lata Bija. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 19:151. It says the living entity, this is us. This is everyone in this room, everyone in in this country, everyone in this planet, everyone in the universe. The living entity is wandering up and down from one planet to another. And if he is very fortunate, if you are very, 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 very fortunate, by the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna himself, he can get the seed of devotional service to Krishna. So that is the gift of Bhakti Charu Maharaj. That is a gift of Srila Prabhupada. He's always planting seeds of devotional service in our hearts. And by that, we can get the mercy of Krishna and attain the ultimate purpose of life. And Krishna says, Bhakya mama vinjananti yavanyas chasmi tatpata tyatvam deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjana. Only by devotional service can I be known. And when one is in full consciousness of me through such service, you can enter into the kingdom of God. And this is our goal. Our goal, self-realization, means to find out who you are and who is the Supreme Lord and what is your relationship with him. So this movement, and of course we have all these books. Are you still distributing books, Ratna Radhika? Very good. How many books have you done this year so far? Aditya?
So we had the Chaitanya Charitamrita marathon, Prabhuji. So
Okay.
we did 51 sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita this year.
How many books is that in total?
51
How many?
multiplied
51
times 9. Prabhuji.
So you're the doctor. You tell me, you got the big brain.
Like just for Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's around 400.
And so like 500 books, right?
Yeah, just Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Okay. Right, just Chaitanya Charitamrita. And no other books? You've been distributing other books, right?
Yeah. Like I was just sharing the score for the Chaitanya Charitamrita marathon, but we have other books also. Yeah.
You know, if you distribute even one Bhagavatam, what to say Chaitanya Charitamrita is, you know, the Bhagavad Gita is the how you would say the graduates. Well, you would say it's the pinnacle of all shastras, of all scriptures in the material world. Higher than that is the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is called the graduate study, the master's degree. And then the Chaitanya Charitamrita is postgraduate degree. That is Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it also encompasses the Srimad Bhagavatam, obviously Bhagavad Gita. So if you distribute one Bhagavatam, you can go back to Godhead in this life. Especially on, what is that day? There's a day of the Bhagavatam, right?
The Bhadra Purnima.
What is it? Bhadra?
Yeah, Bhadra Purnima.
Bhadra Purnima, that's right, Bhadra Purnima. So you should all do that, but every day can be Bhadra Purnima, right? Distributing these books of Srila Prabhupada. Because these are the books that will actually educate all living entities in this world, how they will become free. These will liberate them, they'll liberate you. It's a win-win situation. The process of self-realization is not selfish realization. Prabhupada said that once. It's selfless. And by giving knowledge to others, that is being selfless. You're saving them, you're saving yourself. So how to do this? But my realization, I've seen some, just to be candid, I have seen some people that are kind of changing, maybe deviating. You maybe noticed it too. There was certain standards that Prabhupada had, right, in Krishna consciousness. And I see the tendency is to become lax. Now, if we are lax in the second generation, what will happen to the third generation? It'll be more lax, right? It's harder to be strict than it is to be loose. So, and what is at stake? What is at stake? I'm 71 years old. I just had a birthday last week. 71 years dead, Prabhupada says. We're not, the baby is born, he's 1 week, they say 1 week old, he's 1 week dead. I'm 71 years dead. And I am in the end of my life. She's at the beginning. She's like Adi Lila. I'm like Ansha Lila. Okay, the end. Right? So, and I see my god brothers and god sisters, they're also leaving. Right? We had the in Janani Vas Prabhuji Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Please accept my Panchakalpa Tarupjas Cha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Samahatma Sadwarlava. That is Janani Vas. And his brother, Pankajangri. They're my heroes. And I feel slightly embarrassed to actually speak before him because I'm not worthy to be even in his association. What to say, speak a little bit. Gosh, where is he going? He's leaving. Oh, that's good. Anyway, so this Krishna consciousness Srila Prabhupada gave us, he gave this process and he handed it down perfectly. Prabhupada used to give the example that Krishna consciousness it has to be handed down. Evam parampara pratam imam rajashyo vidu. In a disciplic succession, we hand it down to the next person. Just like a big mango tree, they're very tall, I've seen in India. The best fruit is at the top. So a man will climb to the top, and then there will be another man who will climb just below him, and another man just below him. And the guy at the top will take the fruit and he'll hand it to the next person down just below him. And that person will hand it down to the next person, right? You don't just throw it down, right? And let it bounce, right? It'll be destroyed. You hand it down person to person. So in this Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada was so strict in saying, whatever you have learned from me, whatever you have heard from me, you must repeat without any addition or alteration. That is so important. And as people, just as we've seen Bhakti Tirobhava Swami, I thought Maharaj was going to live forever. You know, I also thought that of Srila Prabhupada, so I was wrong twice. I mean, he's in Goloka Vrindavan, but his Vapu's obviously not here with us anymore. In that very room, he gave one lecture. I was there. And he gave this magnificent lecture. And it was so inspiring. And it was talking about how to maintain the purity of Krishna consciousness. And of course, he was a perfect example of that. And he said, if you want to please Krishna, you have to please Srila Prabhupada. And nothing pleases Prabhupada more than following the 4 regular principles and chanting your 16 rounds and reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Nothing can please him more. And dedicating yourself to this Krishna consciousness movement. It was so inspiring, this class he gave. At the end of the class, I actually jumped to my feet and I said, Maharaj, may you live to be 125 years old. And this whole room was packed. There was no seat, it was standing room only. And he said, and I said that to him, and all the devotees went, Haribol! And then Maharaj sat there with a little grin on his face. And then he turned and looked at me and he said, only 125? So I said 150. So then I thought, because I actually had a motive. Because I thought, what will I do if he ever leaves? I already lost, and of course we didn't lose Prabhupada, but his Vapu. There's a difference, as you all know. Who have all met Srila Bhakti True Swami? Raise your hand. Who have all been with him or heard his class? You're the only one. And okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Well, you can still look at his videos, but believe me, it's never the same thing. Just like I've talked to you on this Zoom thing. I'm not very good with this technology. I'll just be honest. I like to be with people. I like to see people, right? I like to raise my god brothers, show respects to my god sisters. It's a little strange, but we have this. So that's the use for Krishna, right? So, but being with Bhakti Swami was like being happy all the time. Is that true, Ratna Radhika? Yeah. So, so in his separation, I do have these little lapses where I feel great sadness. So I thought I said, there's no way I'm going to live to be 100 years old. He was a couple years older than me. And I thought, well, at least let me die first. And I never thought he would go back to Krishna Loka so quickly. And I went to actually Orlando to get him out of that hospital. And I tried for 2 weeks and I couldn't do it. Anyway, Krishna, Ishvara Paramam Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, right? Krishna is the supreme controller. He's a controller of all things. He has his body, which is Satchitananda Vigraha. And we're his parts and parcels. And I don't know what conversation he had with Krishna. I don't know if it's Krishna's desire or his desire. I don't know these things. I'm going to find out, I hope, someday. But Krishna decided to take him, right? So we're pushing on in his separation. So, so the best way to do that is to follow his instructions that he gave us. Not give up, never. There's an old saying my father used to say, winners never quit and quitters never win, right? So he was a winner. Srila Prabhupada's a winner. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta is a winner. Our disciples are all winners, right? Krishna always wins. That was one reason I became a devotee. I read the Krishna book and they said, well, Krishna's every fight he gets in, he wins. I want to be on that team, right? So we can't quit, but how do we stay in touch with them? We will be losers if we change this message of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. And so, and I know Guru Maharaj always was, he actually made everyone, not only, he said, how many rounds you will chant? How many rounds will you chant minimum? How many?
16.
Ratna Radhika? Minimum. 16 minimum, right? And 4 regulative principles, right? And then he said, and you will never leave, make a vow, you will never leave ISKCON. So sometimes we think, oh, I can be in ISKCON, I can't be in ISKCON. Not if you're a Bhakti Swami follower. You can't be in ISKCON if you're, if you can't leave ISKCON and think you're going to please Guru Maharaj. It will never happen. 0 chance. And so, but we have to also preserve what ISKCON is. That's why it's so essential to always study these books and read them and follow them and teach others. And not just because, the world is a crazy place. It's always changing. I was mentioning how I thought back when the Vietnam War, things were crazy. It's 10 times crazier now. The world is 10 times crazier. They're clueless and and so many people have this nuclear warhead, which means we could go very quickly into the advancement of Kali Yuga, unimaginably. But the Sankirtan movement is meant to stop that. So Prabhupada gave some instructions about this, and I wanted to read. He said in the purport of the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 23:105, Without the sanction of the spiritual master, we should not try to imitate. The principle is recommended here. We should not introduce anything whimsically without the sanction of the bona fide spiritual master. So we can't introduce new ideas. You're just cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself. If you wanted something different than the regular principles and all the teachings of our Guru Maharaj, go find another movement. Go start another movement. But don't come into ISKCON and change it. Like, for example, these were some of the teachings that I recently was reading, and this is in the Prabhupada hold on. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, chapter 3, verse 10. And he gave a lecture on this. This is Prabhupada's lecture. He said, everything is Guru's property. So much so that after cooking everything, the spiritual master will call, "My dear boys, come on and take prasadam." But if he forgets to call somebody, then that person will not touch. He will not touch. This is brahmachari. Oh, spiritual master has not called me, so I will fast today. And then everyone laughed. And then he said, he begged the brahmachari begged the rice and vegetables and atta and dal. It is cooked, but when it is cooked, that is also spiritual master's property. If the spiritual master does not ask him to come, he cannot take. He cannot touch. This is brahmachari life. So therefore, the first training is given to become austere, tolerate, how to call other women as your mother. He is learning from the beginning. A small child, he is trained to call any woman, even his own age, not sister, but mother. This is the training. Matavat paradareshu. That is the education. Matavat paradareshu. Chanika Pandit, the great politician, has given the definition: to see every woman, except his wife, as mother. This is education. This is education, perfection of education. When you can see all women except your wife as mother, that is education. He said, and then what is the next thing? Others' property is just like garbage in the street. Nobody is interested in the garbage. You throw it away. That is education. And atmavat sarvabhuteshu, and thinking all living entities as your own self. If you feel pain and pleasure by something, you cannot afflict that pain to other living beings. If your throat is cut, if your head is cut, you feel so much pain. How can you cut the head of another animal? This is education. This is education. Three things. This is the test of education. So that's Prabhupada's teaching. You take only what the spiritual master says you can have. See how is for men, all women as your mother, even they're the same. Prabhupada says, even if they're the same age or even younger, you see all women as mother. He also taught us that in Radha Damodar Party. And then finally, people's property is garbage in the street, and all living beings. All living beings are equal. Don't kill cows, don't kill chickens, don't kill pigs, don't kill any animal. Those are three things to learn in Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada said in London in August 22, everything is there. From a bona fide spiritual master, you receive knowledge because he will present it as he has received from his spiritual master. He will not adulterate or manufacture something. That is a bona fide spiritual master. That is very easy. To become a spiritual master is not a very difficult thing. You have to become spiritual master. You, all of my disciples, everyone should become spiritual master. It is not difficult. It is difficult when you manufacture something. But if you simply present whatever you have heard from your spiritual master, it's very easy. If you want to become over-intelligent, present something, to interpret something, whatever over you have heard from your spiritual master, you can make, if you make further addition, alteration, then you will spoil the whole thing. The whole thing will be spoiled. Don't make addition or alteration. Simply present it as it is. Therefore, we have begun Bhagavad Gita as it is. Don't try to become over spiritual master. Then you'll spoil everything. Remain always a servant of your spiritual master and present things as you have heard. You'll be spiritual master. This is the secret. So we're celebrating the disappearance of Bhakti True Swami, and everything that Bhakti True Swami did was service to Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, he was spiritual master. He's perfect spiritual master. You are all the second generation. But a very wonderful thing happened in Ujjain back in February. I was in Ujjain. They had established the Pushpa Samadhi of Bhakti Charu Swami there. And at that same festival, the third generation came. That was the first time I seen initiation by the third generation. So Bhakti True Swami Maharaj gave initiation to Bhakti Prem Swami, and then Bhakti Prem Swami became initiating guru, and he gave initiation to new boys. So that they were the third gen. There was 5 devotees that he initiated. Really, really first-class brahmacharis. Very, very sattvic. Very like, wow, better than me. Better than I ever was. And so I was thinking, oh, this is the future. This is the hope. Your second generation, first generation, we're almost gone. But if, as a member of the first generation, what I implore to all of you is to carry, don't change anything. You will be the losers if you change. You don't have to concoct, oh, I have a better idea than Prabhupada. I got a better idea than Bhakti True Swami. It's not going to be better. And what it's going to happen to you is you will take birth again in this material world. You won't go back to Godhead. And I say that completely, and whether you like me or not, I'm going to tell you the truth. I say that because I have just a little time left in this world. I don't have much time. I've seen it. I saw how Prabhupada's temples were. They were just like the temple in Ujjain. You want to know what Prabhupada's temples were like? You go to Ujjain. You'll see. That's exactly how they were. And you can reproduce that. Every single temple, you go to ISKCON Detroit, it was like that. ISKCON Chicago, it was like that. ISKCON Cleveland, which her father was the temple president there, it was just like that. Right? Every temple you would go. Now you see the temples, I can see changes. So I'm thinking, I have great fear for all of you, that you will hear something and you will change what was given by Srila Prabhupada. Don't change it, otherwise you'll be finished. And if you keep it, you keep the standard that Guru Maharaj taught, that Srila Prabhupada taught. Don't think like, oh, that was the 20th century, now we're in the 21st century. No, there's no different. Back there was dogs, hogs, camels, and asses walking on 2 legs. Now we have dogs, hogs, camels, and asses walking on 2 legs, right? You see it. Until you take up the process of Krishna consciousness, basically dog, hogs, camels, and asses. But those people can choose, oh, let me read this book. Let me embrace this philosophy. Let me do what this sampradaya is telling me what to do. And what does Krishna say? You do this. Sarvadama parityajam mamekam saranam braja ham tvam sava papepyo Moksha Shishami Masucha. Krishna promises to Arjuna, abandon everything, all other religious activities, surrender unto me. I will deliver you from all your karma. I will deliver you from all sinful reaction. And then he says, Masucha, don't be afraid. So none of us need to be afraid. I'm going to end my little offering here with something that I wrote since this is Prabhupada's Glorification Day. This was one of my offerings I made to Srila Prabhupada, and I thought probably, I doubt if any of you have read it, but I will read it to you and then we can share this. This will be the end of my offering. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances at your topmost lotus feet. All glories to you. It was late 1972 when I first walked through the doors of your ISKCON Center in Detroit, Michigan, at 8311 East Jefferson Boulevard. It was a cold day in Detroit, and I was appropriately bundled up to withstand the elements. Detroit is a hard and dreary place known as Motown, Motor City. This is the nickname given because so many cars, trucks, planes, tanks, anything that requires a motor is made there. A truly Kali Yuga town in the age of Kali. As I walked up to the glass-plated temple door, I peered into what seemed a completely contrasted world. Detroit has an ocean of factories and tool shops. Its smokestacks pour out a steady flood of poisonous gases that blankets the city in shades of gray. But your temple was all aglow. I could see a large staircase grace the front entrance, and it was painted a gloss snow white. The walls were painted in bright pinks, lime greens, and saffron. Outside of the temple, people were layered in clothes to protect themselves from the sub-freezing temperature. Inside your spiritual oasis, the ISKCON residents looked like angels from heaven in their bright colored dhotis and saris. I had been reading your book, Srila Prabhupada, for months, and now I was acting on those perfect instructions and entering into that perfect world of ISKCON. As I got to the door, I raised my hand to knock on the door, and I froze for a moment. I knew if I walked through that door, my entire world would change forever. The minute I paused seemed like hours. My body started to shiver, partially from the cold and partially out of fear. This was the moment of truth. At that point, I made my decision. My knuckles rapped against the door frame, and almost to my surprise, one of the angels stopped and walked over to the door and opened it. A freshly shaven young man named Bhakta Greg, later to be known as Gopal Bhatta Das. He opened the door and greeted me with a large, bright smile. Hare Krishna, welcome, please come in. Just like that, I walked into another world and left my frustrating, unhappy material world behind. This was the world you created, Srila Prabhupada, your ISKCON world. This was your transcendental portal to Goloka Vrindavan. There's no doubt that every one of my God brothers and God sisters all have their story. The details may vary, but that sweet experience, that ruchi that we tasted, was not to be found anywhere else in the world. This was your gift to us, Srila Prabhupada. You gave us this magnificent ISKCON movement, complete with your books, your lectures, your letters, your deities, your morning and evening programs, your regulative principles of freedom, your spiritual diet, your book distribution, your Harinam programs, your festivals, and most important, your devotees. After more than 50 years, when I first walked into your temple, Srila Prabhupada, I thank you for more than anything else that you gave us. I thank you for the gift of your devotees. Because with your devotees, books are printed. With your devotees, the deities are worshipped nicely. And with your devotee, prasadam is lovingly cooked and offered. With your devotees, there are morning programs, book distribution, festivals, and Harinam. Without your devotees, there's nothing. There's nothing. Without your devotees, we have nothing. I therefore fall prostrate at your feet, Srila Prabhupada, and I thank you 1,000,000 times over for everything you gave us, especially your devotees. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, know that all beautiful, glorious, and mighty creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. ISKCON is not different from Krishna, because ISKCON is the manifestation and legacy of your pure devotional service to the Lord. If any living being within the universe comes to your ISKCON centers and follows your instructions and the principles of Krishna consciousness, there is no force in the material world that will keep them here in the Mahatattva. That is the beauty of your ISKCON ashrams. However, we as conditioned souls should not think somehow we have become more intelligent than your perfect program. And this is a quote from Prabhupada. And what is their duty? Whatever you are hearing from me, whatever you are learning from me, you have to distribute the same in toto without any addition or alteration. This was in Hamburg, Germany, September 5th, 1969. Stepping into one of your ISKCON centers is stepping into the spiritual world. Your entire program of 4 regular principles, 16 rounds of japa, following morning and evening programs, and serving Radha and Krishna during the day was and is pure devotional service. As conditioned, diseased souls, we may not be relishing the unending bliss that all liberated souls in our sampradaya would be feeling at every moment, because we are sick. Just like a person with jaundice, when he tastes sugar candy, he thinks it is bitter. As that person gets healthy, the same sugar candy becomes sweeter and sweeter. So we see in the temple, there are people who are less sick, and there are people that are more sick. There are people who are relishing the programs like anything, and there are people who have lost their taste. Those of us that have lost the taste, don't be spiritually suicidal and stop taking the medicine. You need to get some medicine from those who are less sick than you. Who knows? The very person who is helping you today may be a person that you help in the future. But whatever you do not leave the hospital. And don't, and I mean don't, stop taking the medicine. Back in October 1977, I had the incredible good fortune to be in your room in Sri Vrindavan Dham. You began talking about your ISKCON movement. I have given you this big movement. If you can, please increase it. At least maintain it. Don't let it decrease. Please cooperate. And then you began to cry. Everyone in the room was crying also. Never in my life have I experienced greater pain than that occasion when I saw your divine grace weep. It has been indelibly etched in my memory. Whenever I encounter any devotee, old or new, that feels the need to leave ISKCON, I relate this pastime to them. I now humbly submit to any person who has come to Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON between 1965 and 2024 to please don't leave ISKCON. Don't leave the hospital. Don't stop taking the medicine. And don't make Srila Prabhupada cry. Srila Prabhupada, I'm your insignificant slave. For this, I'm very proud. Please use my body, mind, and words in your service so that I may assist you in increasing the ISKCON movement. Maybe if I fully surrender to your service, I can make you smile. That would be the perfection of my existence. Your eternal servant, Udayananda Das.
Haribo.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hi.
Bhakti True Swami Maharaj ki.
Hi.
Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
Hari Bo.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a powerful message for all of us. Because it is like so important, the points that you said, but not changing anything and just keeping up with Srila Prabhupada's message, what His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj has taught us, just keeping up with that. And the faith in both the Guru and Krishna as the secret of success. It was such a powerful message. Thank you so much, Prabhu. We are very, very blessed to have your association here. His Grace Udayananda Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Aditya Narayan Das ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Ratna Radhika ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Bhaktu Gopal Prabhuji ki jai. Guru Bhakta Maharani ki jai.
Hare Krishna. So nice to see you, Prabhu. Thank you for blessing us with your association. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we have this beautiful video by Guru Maharaj. So Udayanand Prabhu, would like to stay on. We're going to play one video by.
I'd like to see the video.
Yeah, and I don't know if we have time to play the whole thing, but we'll at least play half of it. So.
Okay. That is your mercy.
Thank you all very much for giving me this opportunity to come here for this wonderful occasion. Actually, initially I was wondering whether I would be able to participate because reasons I was coming to America was a court case in Long Island. Court case about our Long Island temple, and I had to give my testimony for that. But then Kuladri Prabhu, who was actually taking care of that court case, at one point, Rampad Maharaj, he told me that my testimony won't be needed. Because certain things were presented in the case, and if I was questioned, I had to tell the truth. And that wouldn't have been in conformity with their statement. So that's why they thought better I don't come. So I was considering that, well, then I won't have to come to America now. But then Shraddhadev Prabhu just kept on insisting, no, I have to come, and via medium of Rohini Nandan Prabhu. So then I said, okay, I'll come, and I felt very happy to be here yesterday for the Ratha Jatra. Previously, I participated in some of the Ratha Jatras in New Orleans, but I think yesterday's were the best so far. And His Holiness Bir Krishna Maharaj was telling me the reason for that was that there were so many devotees came to participate. So it is the presence of the devotees that make a festival become such a grand success. So anyway, I'm very happy to have this opportunity, and today to have here and meet so many devotees, especially so many of my god brothers. Like so many of them, we are very close at one time, but nowadays hardly we get any time to even see each other. Like, I think we should have more such festivals where Prabhupada disciples can come and get together. And you all can, the second generation Prabhupada's grand disciples, can get the benefit from them. Because Prabhupada disciples are not ordinary persons. Prabhupada is an extraordinary spiritual personality. And those devotees who came to assist Srila Prabhupada in his mission are also not ordinary personalities. They all are very, very special personalities. Prabhupada himself once admitted that all these devotees, especially those who came to assist him in his movement, in his propagation of Krishna consciousness movement in the West, they had been sent by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So that means they are also spiritual personalities who came from spiritual domain. They are not just ordinary conditioned souls who just came to become purified. Of course, many of us are ordinary conditioned souls getting the opportunity to become spiritually motivated. But many of the devotees who came forward to assist Srila Prabhupada, they're very, very exalted spiritual personality, just have taken birth in some strategic places like America, Europe, Australia, and their support to spread Krishna consciousness movement, their assistance to Srila Prabhupada is a remarkable achievement, and it's a remarkable phenomena in the history of Krishna consciousness. So here we are to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And personally, I just consider that in the Vedic culture, the celebration takes place just right after the child is born. Then 6 days after, then 1 month after, and this way the celebration keep on going on, and then comes annual celebration or birthday celebration. Often I think that this 50th anniversary celebration is something like ISKCON's 1 day celebration, or at the most
Haribol.
ISKCON's 6 days, which is called Shoshti Puja. So it's the beginning. ISKCON is actually in its infancy. If we look ISKCON as a personality who is just born 50 years ago. And mind you, this movement is meant to be here for 10,000 years to come. So when you look at it, then what is 50 years? And when you look at other spiritual organizations, other religions in this world, then all the prominent religions are more than 1,000 years old. Islam is more than 1,000 years, Christianity is more than 2,000 years, Buddhism is 2,500 years. And so for a spiritual movement, this 50 years is practically the very beginning. That is what we are actually celebrating. And so that way we have to see that ISKCON is in its infancy. And we have the responsibility. We means we, the followers of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada actually made that point very clearly. Few days before Srila Prabhupada left the planet, 2 very important persons came to see Srila Prabhupada, who is to come to see Srila Prabhupada from time to time. And they were very important person. One was actually the governor, ex-governor of Madras, and the other one was the head of a very big industry, Bajaj Industries, Bajaj Group of Industries. They make, anyway, so they came and they met Srila Prabhupada. We all were there in the room at that time. And so they said that they wanted to speak to Srila Prabhupada in private. Privately they wanted to speak to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada told us to leave the room. And while leaving the room, I pressed the recording button of the tape recorder. And that is how that discussion we could actually hear afterwards. And at some point, that person said the tape recorder is on. So then they noticed that the tape recorder was on, so the tape recorder was shut down. So those 2 persons actually came and asked Srila Prabhupada, who would be Prabhupada's successor? Who would Prabhupada appoint as his successor? Prabhupada's response to that was, I'm not going to appoint any successor. I give the legacy to all my followers. Whoever follows will have the legacy. And it is such a prophetic statement that actually indicates that Prabhupada is giving the responsibility of spreading this movement all over the world to all his loyal followers. Prabhupada didn't want to appoint anybody. Even when, let's go back to another step, there was a consideration who would be the next Acharya. Who would Prabhupada appoint as the next Acharya? Prabhupada's initial response to that was, my Guru Maharaj did not appoint an Acharya. How can I appoint an Acharya? It's an interesting thing to note. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur simply mentioned before he left the planet that how to collectively maintain and manage the institution through a governing body, through a GBC. And he didn't say a single word about who would be his spiritual successor or Acharya and so forth. And so Prabhupada's initial reaction was that Prabhupada didn't really want to. Prabhupada didn't want to appoint anyone as his successor. Rather, Prabhupada gave the responsibility to all his loyal followers, generation after generations. And that is how this movement is going to go on. Srila Prabhupada made it very, very clear to all of us. And sometimes the question actually arises, well, I mean, I'm just being very frank because I'm not speaking to a bunch of children. You all are grown up, thinking, committed, and intelligent individuals. Like the question sometimes arises, now what about this 11 persons, 11 devotees that Prabhupada actually named? My response to that is that Prabhupada named them because Prabhupada saw that that is how he could actually avoid a major catastrophe after he left the planet. Because how can we consider that Srila Prabhupada, who is a pure devotee of the Lord, made some arrangement which did not succeed? How can Prabhupada's arrangement be a failure? So now the question, of course, arises, then what about the initiation system? Yes, initiation will go on. Initiation will go on, just as we have different other spiritual arrangements. Like we need pujaris to worship the deities. But for that, there is no need to make a specific arrangement or specific resolutions. Like, yes, we know that the pujaris are needed to continue the deity worship. Similarly, gurus will be needed, initiating gurus will be needed to give initiation. That will go on. But the important thing in this respect is that in this institution of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada is the guru. And that is why Srila Prabhupada gave so much emphasis on that, his title as the founder Acharya. Just consider what Srila Prabhupada emphatically told us. That wherever there is a name, ISKCON, his name, right there, his identity as the founder Acharya must be there. Now, there is no doubt that Srila Prabhupada is the founder of ISKCON. Nobody will ever question that. But what is actually the important consideration? The Acharya aspect of it. That is implying, practically etched in stone, that Srila Prabhupada is going to be the Acharya for the entire ISKCON, for all the devotees of ISKCON, for as long as ISKCON will be there. And that is Srila Prabhupada's position. And yes, the gurus will come, Shiksha gurus will come, Diksha gurus will come, but they will function as Srila Prabhupada's representatives in the institution that Srila Prabhupada established. Whenever we think of a spiritual institution, immediately comes the consideration of an ashram. A guru has his ashram. Now it is absolutely clear that ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada's ashram. And Srila Prabhupada did not hand over the ISKCON institution to anybody. Srila Prabhupada will always remain the spiritual head of the institution of ISKCON, and there will be many individuals functioning on behalf of Srila Prabhupada in the institution as representatives of Srila Prabhupada. In this respect, often I give one example, that I am giving initiation because ISKCON has authorized me to give initiation. If tomorrow ISKCON tells that I have to stop giving initiation, then I have to stop. Which clearly indicates that I am functioning as a representative of ISKCON on behalf of ISKCON. Like, it is not that Srila Prabhupada handed over the responsibility, or rather legacy, or the successorship of the institution to any individual or even a group of individuals. It is that Prabhupada wanted that everybody in this institution should function as the representative of the institution where he is the founder Acharya. And in this respect, we can consider also, like sometimes a question comes up, like recently actually I was confronted with a question by one individual who thinks that the institutional religion is bad or is not desirable, let's put it that way. So his question was, why do we need an institution? My answer to that was, when you start a small business, like when you open a shop, it's just a shop, you don't really register it as a company. But as you want to expand the business, then you form a company. Then the company takes a bigger shape. Private limited, then it goes public, public limited, I don't know how you call it in America. Like, and then if the institution becomes, I mean, if you want to expand the business throughout the other countries, then you make it a multinational corporation. So when you run a small business, you don't need any structure like that. But as the business grows, the larger it grows, the more definite becomes its structure. And Srila Prabhupada came with a vision to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. In that respect, we can consider that Srila Prabhupada was clearly seeing the future. We can recall Prabhupada's interaction with Mr. Rubin in Central Park in New York. I have many temples, farms, and Rubin said, you said you just came the other day. What are you talking about? Prabhupada said, yes, they are there. Only time is separating us. So that means Prabhupada was clearly seeing what's going to happen in future. Prabhupada knew what he came to accomplish. And that is why the moment he got a slight opportunity to establish his institution or start his institution, he starts off by establishing the institution or registering the institution, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Just see the name, a small little storefront, 26 Second Avenue. Prabhupada is calling the institution that he's starting there, he is calling it the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The lawyer there, who was registering the company, he he asked Prabhupada that really he could tolerate that international, okay, fine. Must have been, he must have sounded quite funny, like a small little about 40 square foot area, not 40, about 400 square foot area, and a shop, small little shop, and he's calling it the International Society. Okay, fine, as long as you pay me the fees. But Krishna consciousness, he had the problem with that. Krishna consciousness. So he said people don't understand what Krishna is. So you rather call it the International Society for God Consciousness. But Prabhupada's reaction to that was, no, I have come here to make everyone understand that Krishna is God. They know about God, but they do not know who is God. I have come here to make them understand. I have come here to teach them who God is. So this is how we can see how clear Srila Prabhupada's perception was. And that's why Srila Prabhupada actually, right at the beginning, Prabhupada set up the institution of ISKCON. And so the point here is, yes, we need an institution. We need an institution because otherwise the massive responsibility, the massive work of spreading this movement all over the world is not going to happen. That's why we need the institution. Proof. I want to justify my statement. During Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time, his institution was an extremely successful institution. He also established an institution, Gauriya Math. I mean, innumerable number of very, very high-class, educated, aristocratic, capable, successful individuals participated in his movement. It was a thriving movement. Can you imagine? At that time, in 1930s, he had 64 temples in India. 64 temples in India. Those days, communication was not that easy. So that shows how successful his mission was. But his emphasis was that you maintain that institution. That's what he told his followers. But unfortunately, because his followers did not follow his instruction, the institution disintegrated. And when the institution disintegrated, preaching movement stopped. Preaching stopped. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave sannyas to 27 of his disciples. And not a single one of them fell down. Not a single one of his the sannyas disciples fall down. They were carrying on, preaching, initiating, and so forth. But that preaching mission that he started stopped. So this is the proof that for this, in order to effectively spread Krishna consciousness, we need an institution. So the other part of that proof is, in ISKCON, after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, so many leading devotees had spiritual difficulties. So many devotees have left, but ISKCON is expanding, preaching is expanding worldwide. When Srila Prabhupada left the planet, there were about 108 temples, and now we have more than 650 temples worldwide. So that shows that this movement is thriving. The movement is expanding. Why? Although individually we may have our spiritual difficulties, but because the institution is intact, that's why the preaching mission is going on. Yeah, I'll take some water. So that is why we need the institution. Now the consideration is what Prabhupada told us. Protect ISKCON. Protect this movement. And in order to protect this movement, Srila Prabhupada's very clear instruction to us was, your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate with each other. There lies the real secret. Through our cooperation. Through our cooperation, this institution will remain intact. But in the structural consideration, to hold this institution together, we need two considerations, two aspects. One is the head of the institution. And we have to recognize that Srila Prabhupada is the head of this institution forever. As long as ISKCON will be there, Srila Prabhupada will always remain as the head of the institution. If we succeed, if we successfully do that, then yes, ISKCON will remain intact. And to continue the functioning and successful propagation of this movement, we need a collective concept of management, and that is the Governing Body Commission, GBC. And if we can keep these two aspects intact, ISKCON's future is safe. We can consider Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's instruction was, you collectively manage this institution through a governing body, through a GBC. But they didn't understand the importance. Rather, his leading disciples considered, like, how can a spiritual organization be run by a group of managers? For a spiritual organization, we need a spiritual head. And they appointed a spiritual head. And when that spiritual head had spiritual difficulty, the structure collapsed. So here we have to understand that in order to hold the institution together, we need a concept of collective management. The advantage of collective management is when an individual deviates, no matter how powerful he may be, collectively he will be able to, collectively the institution will be deal with him. That we have seen in the past. GBC concept, the functioning of the GBC has protected ISKCON from this kind of crisis and calamity time and time again. Leading devotees had spiritual difficulties with their followers. They tried to create disturbance to the society, but because the GBC concept was there, the collective concept of management was there, no one individual was stronger than this collective body. And whatever this collective body decided, they had to accept it.
Haribol.
His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Ki jai.
Hare Krishna, such a powerful lecture, and Guru Maharaj again and again stressed on these points, and we realized the importance of these points as each one of us. Guru Maharaj was making the point that the followers of the ISKCON are actually those who are legal to the society, who are loyal to the society, who are following this ISKCON. They are going to take this ISKCON movement forward, and these 2 points that Guru Maharaj again and again emphasized, like. So important for each one of us to realize. So grateful to Guru Maharaj for giving us those important points that are actually going to keep ISKCON going on for generations to come. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, Srila Guru Maharaj ki
jai.
And thank you, Udayan Prabhu, and all the devotees joining online. We are going to stop our session here. We have a plan of going out for Harinam Sankirtan.
Haribol.
So thank you so much, Udayan Prabhu, and all the devotees for joining online. We'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai.